This episode of the Grand Rising Show was brought to you by Autochthonous Assembly, where the real work gets done. Autochthonous Assembly is the gathering of the minds that do the work. Now, for many of our first-time subscribers and first-time visitors, you may be wondering who Autochthonous Assembly are. You can find this information about our mission statement and our core values on the website at autochthonousassembly.com/about. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to raising up Indigenous American voices by using genealogy, also known as family history or your family tree, which is the study of families and the tracing of their lineages and history. Genealogists use oral interviews, historical records, genetic analysis, and other records to obtain information about a family and to demonstrate kinship and pedigrees of its members. Our core values are the foundation of our company, which is success, and serve as a lens through which we evaluate every business decision. Those core values are, but are not limited to, integrity, which is knowing and doing what is right; respect, which is treating others the way you want to be treated; responsibility, which is embracing opportunities to contribute; and servant leadership, which is serving the common good. Now, at Autochthonous Assembly, we have a couple of goals here. And our first goal and foremost of the reason why we do everything that we do is to ensure that we help you do your genealogy, get back to your tribe, and find out where you are. Everything that we do from the standpoint of the Grand Rising Show and all the information that's posted on the website is dedicated to that one specific purpose: helping you find your genealogy, find your relatives, find your family so that you will know exactly who you are. And if you choose to, tie back into your tribe, whether that tribe is a Native American tribe, an American Indian tribe, whether it's allowing you to determine which house in Africa that you belong to, or what clan of Scandinavia or Europe or France that you belong to. Either way, our goal is to do just that: help you find out who you are so you know exactly where to start. We are not here to tell you who you are, and we're not here to tell you who you are not. We're just here to help you discover your beginnings. Another one of our missions is to help you become financially independent so that you can help your generations for the next 7 generations and be able to put a stable foundation for you and your relatives. And if you should choose to use this information that we provide free of charge to help not only yourself, but your community and your tribe, then we will do everything in our power to make sure that gets done as well. And remember, our goal here is to make sure that we help you get exposed to this information to put you in the best situation possible. So now what I'm going to do now is return it back over to the panel to see if there was anything I missed, and I will go ahead and get set up so we can get ready, get digging into this information. Panel, take it away.
Warning, warning, warning. Hard hats, pickaxe, shovels, boots required.
Hope everyone is doing well. This Tuesday, what is it? For Tuesday, Fry Tuesday, second Tuesday?
It's to Friday. Come on now.
To Friday. It's to Friday.
Yeah. It's
To Friday.
That's what we doing.
The game's all here.
To Friday. Okay.
Grand Rising, peace to the chat.
Grand Rising, everyone. Would like to say, how's everyone on the panel doing today? Bones, No Sellout, how y'all doing?
Feeling very well this rising.
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Yeah, hang with y'all can have side effects with causing concussion-like symptoms. I don't know if I want to continue doing this. I'm just joking.
I had to sleep it off. I'm like, I'm not reading another word. Nope.
Would like to say grand rising and peace to the new subscribers. Thank you for taking your time out to find out who we are and what we're about. I want to say grand rising and peace to the autochthonous assembly silent majority, and those are the individuals that are out there just listening and taking this information and using it for their communities and for their tribes, their houses, their clans, families and whatnot. So we know without you, we wouldn't have the numbers that we have. So we want to say grand rising and thank you. And to the best chat and the smartest chat ever on Earth with the F or PH. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Grand rising, grand rising. Give us some ones in the chat if you can hear us, if we're coming through clearly. Let us know so we can go ahead and proceed. Mic check 1 2. Give us some ones. All right. Copper Chopper. Karia, thank you. All right. Grand rising. Let's go ahead and give our roll calls to the chat. Grand rising, Enrique. Grand rising, Trabab. Grand rising, David Corey. Grand rising, Lady Free. Grand rising, Copper Color Ancestor. Grand rising, Lady J. Grand rising, Copper Chopper 803. Grand rising, The Ohio Player. Grand rising, Marlon P. Grand rising, Macadon 1. Grand rising, Doodoo Vision. What's going on, bro? Yeah, you the reason for the concussion symptoms, but I digress. What else do we have? Let's see. Make sure I haven't forgotten anyone. No sellout. A Grand Rising, Alfred Jones, Pittsburgh County represent. Grand Rising, Oak Cliff. Grand Rising, Mike Easton. And if I left out any names, just let us know. Put it in the chat. Cool beans. So, are y'all ready today? Y'all ready to get this in? You said somewhat? No, you didn't say somewhat.
Yeah, get a little bit.
Okay.
We need new concussion protocols immediately.
Yep. He's Copper Chopper 803. He's David Corey. Can't type right now. I'm gonna just say peace.
So let's go ahead and get this clock punch so we can go ahead and get started and do a quick recap from yesterday and then move forward. Grand Rising El Borea, wanted to get that in there. All right. What you laughing at?
I was about to do the ignorant mic check with the double T's.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
It was loud for a minute. I didn't know what was happening, but that almost came out. I'm sorry.
No, whenever I say punch the clock, I'm I'm using a construction sound bite, man.
You know I couldn't hear that. I'm sitting here like, wait a minute, what just happened? What just that took? No, I ain't gonna.
We gotta do a rebrief on a post-production meeting.
Look, why was I about to type something to LJ and she up here being ignorant right along with me? Stop it. I'm not gonna do that.
That's your wonder twin of trouble right there.
She gonna get me in trouble for real. This rising. That's a little too accurate.
Grand Rising the rant.
That's why I'm not even looking at the chat. Not even on my screen.
Oh yeah.
No.
Look, hold on. This is direct. Hold on, never mind. I ain't gonna. Nope. LJ, look at the rant comment. Look at the rant comment. That's a little too close.
Stop it. All right.
Man.
So.
Grand Rising, y'all.
1, 2.
Peace to
Yeah,
rant.
we got you. We got you.
Bro.
All right.
1, 2. 1, 2. I heard that, bro.
So what did we learn yesterday, man? Let me
I
pull
learned
up.
to stay away from y'all for a little while.
Oh, that's why we didn't hear from you?
Mm-hmm. No, I was reading everything y'all was talking. Y'all was busting each other in the head. I ain't messing with y'all. Get in
Really?
on that.
Really?
Mm-mm.
You do realize you are the main culprit, sir.
But y'all play too rough sometimes.
We play too rough?
Mm-mm.
Anyway.
Bounce. Look at the channel.
Wow. Know what? Anyway, this is what we learned yesterday. We learned that the timelines is truly, in fact, messed up. You have a council taking a look at something that could not have happened because it was 296 years in the future. The Council of India didn't come into existence until, what was it, 1839?
Mm-hmm.
But they were supposed to be having something in review in 1588.
Yeah, in 1588, they made changes off the review of the council, but this council didn't exist to the 1800s. DeLorean or delirious.
That's right, Lady J. They lied and jumped 200 years. So we're seeing that there's some overlay, what we've always heard of, courtesy LJ Free. Lecto defacilior. They are overlaying stories on top of stories, and they're trying to, or make an attempt to replace our ancestor story. And so we're starting to see some very distinct contradictions, that's the best term, from what's being told in history versus what's happening, because we're now tying in not only what's been told from the America's standpoint, but we're looking at the Iberian standpoint. We're looking at the Gaul standpoint, if you will. We're looking at the Maghrib standpoint. We're looking at the timestamps from the continent formerly known as South Africa, aka Libya, aka Ethiopia. The timelines are not matching up with what history is indicating, depending on which history you look at. And we've also seen that they've even admitted that there have been instances where stories about what happened between themselves, there's two stories. So they're going to make up a story with their own dealings. You know good and well they're going to make up stories with their dealings with us. So timelines are very important, and keeping on timelines is very important and is very crucial. So Is there anything I missed, Bones? Any things you want to touch on? No sellout. Anything you want to touch on?
You covered it.
Yeah, definitely pay attention to that. Them not even wanting to tell the truth about their own timelines, because yeah, that's major. They out here luring people out, shooting them, and eating their bodies, and telling the little children the story about it. Nah, B.
Durant says I had to go back and research a group of things because of the timelines. That's right, Durant. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. So that's what's up. Good looking up, and that's what everyone should do. Now that we understand the who, what, when, where, it's going to become very important. And as we expose and learn together about these 13 families that are ruling in these different houses. We touched on it last week, but there's some things that we're going to bring to your attention. So that's going to be revealed as they were revealed to us. That's going to put things in proper perspective. So, with that being said, don't sell out. I know you got you on a time crunch, so let's go ahead.
I got a few minutes in me.
You got a few minutes. Okay.
What's a few? Like 3.
Got
one sentence. You know how you do.
Don't do that.
I'll start it off for you.
That's good.
Don't do that. That is so not nice.
See, I ain't even get it started. You telling me to stop.
No, Grand Rising Carrie, babe. Don't see. Really?
Sheep belch.
Y'all don't like me. It's okay then. So, moving on. Let's read. Really. So we were talking the last.
I told you got good hearing. Bones, he be hearing us, yo.
Okay, so
See, I can't. Y'all got to give me a minute. Free know what I'm talking about, because I gotta forget the voice that's in my head.
Oh no! Don't do that. Anyway, no sellout. In the words of Oak Cliff, read.
Put a link in.
The link's in the chat. I'll put it in the chat.
I got it. That's cool.
Read the paragraph before the British and the Mosquito Kingdom, because that's pretty much what we stopped off at.
What section? Conquest, colonial, Honduras in the 19th century.
The partially conquered northern coast, and then it's the last paragraph because we stopped on the Mosquito Kingdom, and that's when James came in and he did what he did. Stop it, David Corey.
One of the majors, right?
Yes, exactly. Thank you, sir.
All right. Grand Rising. Peace, everybody. One of the major problems for the Spanish rulers of Honduras was the activity of the British in northern Honduras, a region over which they had only tenuous control. These activities began in the 16th century and continued until the 19th century. In the early years, European pirates frequently attacked the villages on the Honduran Caribbean. The Providence Island Company, which occupied Providence Island not far from the coast, raided it occasionally and probably also had settlements on the shore, possibly around Cape Gracias a Dios. Around 1638, the King of the Mosquito visited England and made an alliance with the English crown. In 1643, an English expedition destroyed the city of Trujillo, Honduras' main port.
Stop for a second, please. Let's rewind. Hold on. It said the Mosquito visited England. You got tribes visiting England in the 1600s? Is this the 1600s? Or is this the 1900s? I'm just saying.
Watch that timeline.
We gotta start looking at who was in control here. No. It said the Mosquito visited England and made an alliance with the English crown. Now remember, this is in the 1600s. This is supposedly well before they become Great Britain.
Oh, most definitely.
And then the
But who are they
English.
visiting? I mean, really, who are they visiting? What English crown? They not unified under an English crown yet.
So tell it, who they visiting?
I have no idea. That's what I'm asking. Who are you visiting? Ain't no English crown.
So we need to find out who was in control at that particular time in 1643. So let's look at the Providence Island Company and see who they are. Macadam wants to say, so what you telling me is it ain't 2019? Well, let me go ahead and share my screen right quick.
What it kind of happened was.
See what happened? So, all right, we're on Wikipedia, and the sources at the bottom, which is where you're gonna go back.
Only person they could have been meeting with at that time was Charles II. If they going to England.
So that was the only house that had any control or any say.
That was who was over England, Charles II. He was also, remember, the King of Scotland and King of Ireland at the same time. Because remember, Scotland and Ireland is England.
Right. So it says, go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of people don't, even with the story, tend to forget that Ireland, Scotland, and the island known as England, that's what makes up your British.
You're British. Isn't that how they
Why
say
it's
it?
Ish. Yep, British.
They said British.
Baton.
They even break it down like that. All right, so the Providence Company or Providence Island Company was an English charter company founded in 1629 by the group of Puritans, including Robert Rich, 2nd Earl of Warwick, in order to establish a Providence Island colony of Providence Island and Mosquito Coast of what became Nicaragua. Providence Island was discovered during 1629 by Daniel Elfrith. Elfrith passed its location to Philip Bell, who was governor of the Somers Island. Bell mentioned it to Nathaniel Rich. Rich then involved the Earl of Warwick, his family connection, who called a meeting for 10 November 1629 at Broke House in Holborn, London. The result was financed. Notionally 200 pounds or whatever it is per member, with 20 members, that number being achieved at the start of 1631. Bell accompanied settlers to Providence Island and landed on 24 December of the same year and became the first governor. So this is the individuals that actually, for lack of a better term, purchased Providence Island and the Mosquito Coast. So basically, they were the first quote-unquote landowners of Nicaragua. So during this time, the Mosquito people visited, and they struck a deal, made an alliance with the English crown. So not only did the Providence Island claim land off the Mosquito Coast, or claim land on the Mosquito Coast, but the Mosquito leaders went to England, formed an alliance, and I guess he was going to try to take over parts of South America. So, Losella, are you able to read the next paragraph?
Yes.
All right.
Where we at? All right.
The British and Mosquito Kingdom. Yeah.
The Spanish sent a fleet from Cartagena, which destroyed the English colony at Providence Island in 1641, and for a time, the presence of an English base so close to the shore was eliminated. At about the same time, however, a group of slaves revolted and captured the ship on which they were traveling, then wrecked it at Cape Gracias a Dios. Or adios. Managing to get ashore, they were received by the mosquito, which led within a generation to the mosquito Zombo, a mixed race group that by 1715 had become the leaders of the kingdom.
Interesting.
Man, who are they fooling?
Oh, they look, they just blended in.
Yeah.
They just blended in with the mosquito Zombo.
Slaves gonna hijack the ship, but you gonna keep going. You ain't gonna turn around and go back home. You gonna keep going.
Adventure.
It's because obviously they didn't travel with just one ship. They had multiple ships. Exactly. So go on and read the next part, because this is the part that we needed to get to.
Meanwhile, the English captured Jamaica in 1655 and soon sought allies on the coast and hit upon the mosquito, whose king, Jeremy I, visited Jamaica in 1687.
Stop.
I remember it was in here. Remember I told you? It's in here.
As soon as you said it, I saw it.
So I'm gonna keep reading.
No. Okay.
For the people.
I'm through.
So I'm about to put this warning out for everybody, so because this is about to be a stun another. All right, let me hit this warning.
Warning, warning, warning. Hard hats, pickaxe, shovels, boots required.
Okay. How many of y'all knew that English captured Jamaica? How many of y'all knew that? Give me some ones if anybody knew that the English had captured Jamaica. Put some ones in the chat if y'all know English captured Jamaica. David Corey said me. Of course David know. David know everything. One. Am I the last person to know? Why am I always the last person to know? Of course you knew, dude. Really? Ohio player, the accent. Okay. So this is about to get very interesting. So Carrie Bay says the French, right? Well, the French and English are cousins.
They all Germans. Let's call them what they is.
They all Germans. Yes. So it says, meanwhile, the English captured Jamaica in 1655, soon saw allies on the coast and hit out the mosquito, whose king, Jeremy I, visited Jamaica. Now,
1687. Remember the year 1687.
So who were the mosquitoes again? Let's go back to this mosquito Zombo. Talk about that. Free says English queen is on their money. So exactly, Free. It says the mosquito are an ethnic group of mixed cultural ancestry, African, Indigenous American, occupying a portion of the Caribbean coast of Central America, particularly on the Atlantic coast of Honduras and Nicaragua, known as the Mosquito Coast region. Although older records, beginning with Spanish documents of the early 18th century, refer to the group as mosquitoes zombos. Modern ethnographic terminology uses the term mosquito. Stop.
Fly swatter.
Do y'all see what I'm seeing? Although older records beginning with the Spanish documents of the early 18th century refer to the group as mosquito zombos. That would be in the 1700s according to this. According to this, they don't be referred to as the mosquito zombos until the 18th century, which is in the 1700s.
Yeah, because they didn't get mixed in with another group of people till then.
So why?
Oh, don't worry. When we click on that Jeremy the First and we read about Jeremy, it's gonna tell a whole lot. Jeremy.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and read on Jeremy. But I just wanted to keep that in mind. Well, they did touch on talking about 1750, so at least they're trying to stay within the timeline. But some things are just looking really, really iffy to me. All right, so Jeremy the First. Let's look at that. Come on. Jeremy the First was king of the Mosquito Nation who came to power following the death of his father, Oldman, in 1686 or 1687, according to the English Visitor. WM in 1699. He was about 60 years old at the time, making his birth year about 1639. But wait a minute, Bones. I thought the French kept really good records. Birthdays, death dates, and things. That says, why are these?
Listen. This is nothing. This is just a teaser. Don't even worry about nothing in this part. No.
Okay.
This is It's when you drop down the land.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Old Man had received a commission to protect Englishmen from the governor of Jamaica around 1655, and according to WM, he could speak little English and was very courteous to Englishmen. His court was located near Cabo Gracias a Dios, near the Nicaragua-Honduras border, and consisted only of a few houses, not much different from those of his subjects. Wait a minute. It consisted only of a few houses, so that means houses of rule, houses of monarchy, not much different from those of his subjects. He had 2 very sickly wives and 3 daughters. He was probably the last person to hold the title of king who was of indigenous ancestry, as last rulers would be Mosquito Zambos, the descendants of African slaves who survived a shipwreck in the region of mid-17th century. Wait, what?
No. He's the last one before the hijack.
Yeah.
Before they started replacing. But what was they commissioned to do?
You want me to keep
This
reading?
is Honduras. Honduras was commissioned to save and protect the Englishmen from the governor of Jamaica.
Yeah. Right up here. He received a commission to protect English from the governor of Jamaica around 1655.
So they had a standing deal since 1655 now.
To protect the English from the governor of Jamaica. Why would they need protection? Why would they need protection from the governor of Jamaica?
But who are the English?
The Germans.
For the people.
Okay. So we know that these African slaves are Berbers. Y'all know that, right?
Yeah, when they say African relatives, remember who they really are. Berbers.
Because
every time you see African, it's Berber.
Yeah, they didn't, because that continent didn't become Africa until in the late early 1900s.
Oh, no, we got to correct that. No, there is 2 choices. They're either Berber or they Africans of German descent. Straight up. German colonies. Oops.
Oh, see, there you go. So they survived the shipwreck in the region in mid-17th century. WB describes him as a dark brown with long hair and his daughters as being handsome, but of nutmeg complexion.
Read that again.
WB describes him as dark brown with long hair and his daughters as being handsome, but of nutmeg complexion.
So, if the new class that's coming in is a mixed class, but the original class is of dark skin, do you see it?
Yeah, they're about to be mixed out. Or the mixing out is about to come about.
Don't use your eyes when they tell you Africans and Europeans. Don't use the color. Do not use color when you vision these two groups. We know that they took Irish and Germans and stuff to these islands. We also know all in South America. The only place that was called Africa at this time was what again?
Tangier and Algier, the northern tip.
The northern part. And these are Berbers. Matter of fact, the whole part that's known as Northern Africa today was the land of Maghrib, all Berbers, Iberian Peninsula. So when they telling you an African and a European, they mixed in and created a new class, they did. Just don't use your eyes to recognize this class. That's what's fooling you. That's why they taught you this color class system to keep you distracted. There are African Americans. They just not us. And the majority of them are not dark skinned. Oops.
Mm-hmm. The Rand says history needs a genealogy test.
You right, yeah. That part.
Well, the Rand, the irony in all this, if I can even call it that, is that they know their genealogy. How do you think they were able to find Meghan Markle? Everybody, it's funny how some of us believe that she got married to Prince Harry and it was coincidence. They already knew who her family was. They know her genealogy. They know where she comes from. They know her mother's line. They know her father's line. So when they sought to have somebody marry Harry, it had to be somebody in their bloodline. That's how she ended up getting chosen.
Remember, royal weddings are arranged marriages. They knew who they were going to marry when they were children. Let's not play with this. They're arranged. Marriages are the power, are to keep power and keep the bloodline within the family. They're not marrying out of emotion and love. No. When are they going out meeting anybody? They get of age. Here's your bride. Let's go.
Vision says Harry and the Hendersons. So if you think about it, there's only one tribe of people, one group of people that don't know their ancestry, that don't know their genealogy, that don't know who's in their family tree. And that's the people of the continent of America. And it's a specific group of people from the continent of America. Those American Indians who have had their birthright supplanted, who believe that they are African Americans. So, and that's not all of African Americans, that's just some. Some of us are American Indians, some of us are not. But until we do our genealogy, we don't know. So that's why it's important. Again, if you don't know who you are, how you gonna let somebody tell you who you are not? Something to think about. So we understand that the old man's job and his people's job was to protect the Englishmen from the governor of Jamaica around 1655. And
oh, he had a successor.
But this is funny. This is how you know there's a hijack. Why? Look at it, says his reign 1686 through 1687 with a question mark. Successor, Jeremy II, born 1639, died 18th century. Why are they being so vague?
Oh no, there's a reason why. Jeremy II, 1639 to 1729, was king of the Mosquito Kingdom. Little is known about his reign, though he tightened relations with Great Britain through the colony of Jamaica.
Wait a minute, stop. Hold on. You were sitting on that. You just couldn't wait to read that.
Hey, what can I say? You know me very well. Shane, you caught me red-handed.
Can you read that again, please, sir?
Jeremy II, 1639 to 1729, was king of the Mosquito Kingdom. Little is known about his reign, though he tightened relations with Great Britain through the colony of Jamaica. We know how little is known about his reign, because what did they tell you? After that, you had the so-called mix Sambos in charge now. So if they in charge, why is it going back to Great Britain? Because these Africans don't look like what you think they look like.
And they're trying to make you think you the Africans when they're the Africans.
Yes, yes, yes.
Doodle Vision says he tightened the screws on his time machine. LJ Free says Harry is so recessive, i.e. fair color and all, that he has to reproduce with melanation for the health of the stock. That was definitely an arranged marriage. Let's keep it real. That's facts, Free. Because his hair is red, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and send that link for further review as well.
And let me just drop this on. Spanish governor of Costa Rica sent him rich presents for him to come and recognize Spanish sovereignty. But when his party was on the high seas, they were intercepted by English sloops and taken to Jamaica on June 25th, 1720. Nicholas Laws, the governor of Jamaica, signed a formal agreement with a Mosquito king named Jeremy to provide 50 men to track down Maroons. In parentheses, they're saying former enslaved Africans who had escaped bondage. Parentheses. In the Blue Mountains of Jamaica.
Okay, so this is what he was reading, y'all.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah,
I got it. It's on the screen. They see it. So what does all this mean? There's a deal being made. Who's the deal between?
The Mosquito King and the colonies of Jamaica tying them back into Britain.
So here's the question. Again, the reason why we say knowing who, doing your genealogy, correcting these timelines and finding out who you are versus who you are not, it lets you know who you should hang with and who you shouldn't hang with. But at the very least, it lets you know who did what, and it corrects some things. So with this deal, with the king of Jamaica, the heir to Jamaica, cutting this deal with England, what would that label these Jamaicans as by their cousins or brethren that are tribes? What would that label them as? Sellouts, turncoats, traitors. Is that safe to say? Because it says the Spanish governor of Costa Rica sent him rich presents for him to come and recognize Spanish sovereignty. Think about this. Remember, only a sovereign nation can recognize a sovereign nation, right? So the Spanish governor of Costa Rica sent him rich presents for him to come and recognize Spanish sovereignty. He needed somebody to recognize where he was at in order for him to be sovereign. So
what's the year again?
This was in 1720.
All right.
So what's going on in 1720 at that time? Remember, this is 46 years? No. Over 30 years before the Emancipation, not the Emancipation Proclamation, but the Declaration of Independence by the 13 colonies. Grand Rising Aboriginal think tank. So you have the king of the Mosquito King, Jeremy, who has rule over Jamaica.
No, remember, Jeremy is ruler over the mosquitoes. They in
Right.
Honduras.
Mm.
They're talking with the governor of Jamaica, and the governor of Jamaica at this time would be Sir Nicholas Laws.
Nicholas Laws.
He's Chief Justice of Jamaica from 1698 to 1703, and governor from 1718 to 1722.
And Nicholas is working with England.
Yeah.
That's right. It says, and on June 25th, 1720, Nicholas Laws, the governor of Jamaica, signed a formal agreement with the Mosquito King named Jeremy to provide 50 men to track down Moors, former enslaved Africans, which we know who they are, who had escaped bondage in the Blue Mountains. Again, who are these Maroons that they're talking about? Who are they trying to say these people are? Let's see. To you. Gotta watch the it says Maroons are Africans and their descendants in the Americas who formed settlements away from the New World chattel slavery. Some had escaped from plantations, but others had always been free, like those born among men. Among them in freedom, they often mixed with indigenous people, thus creating a distinctive Creole cultures.
But don't they tell you the indigenous people dead?
Mm-hmm. As Supervision says, how can you mix with somebody that's dead?
And if these people see, oh my goodness.
LJ Free says evolution is supposed to put the Neo kid the top of the pyramid, and yet they need melanated stock to maintain health and the ability to reproduce. How is that survival of the fittest? Then she puts in big bold words, dumb. Boreas says, my math teacher was from Jamaica and his last name, Mr. Laws. Wow, I found out stuff from my past all the time here. Doodle Vision says, necromancy in the stone. Ew. So you have people from Honduras going into Jamaica to look for some Moors in the Blue Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because only they would know how to find them. So here's the question: if these Moors were former slaves or former Africans, how do they know to go into the mountains and hide?
Hey, now you're thinking.
Think about it. How would you know to go in the mountains to hide if you've never been there before? And why the mountains?
Yeah, you're going to run up in some mountains that you've never been to before, not having no idea what's up in there. Really?
Not knowing what to eat or what not to eat, not knowing what the terrain is, not knowing what you're going to need to survive. The only people that will go into the mountains would people that have been there and know how to survive there. Go ahead.
Safety. Why would you go in the mountains? Forget what you can eat. What about what's out there that's eating you? No, man. Human mind don't work that way. Safety, shelter first. You're going to go someplace to where you're safe. If I escape, wouldn't I be trying to get off the island?
Yeah. And he says, and Doodle Vision says, why did they pick Jamaica of all islands?
Yeah, the island that they call Cuba is not that far from Jamaica. Come on, man. And Jamaica is a smaller island.
Yeah, easy to be found. Especially if you're gonna have people hunting for you. So that means you've had to have been there before.
And you needed some of these Jamaicans that left Jamaica and was living in your Honduras come back to help you find some of their people. You can't go get a foreigner to come to some foreign mountains to track somebody down. I'm gonna say it again. You are not going to get a foreigner to bring him a foreign to track somebody down in the mountains. You're gonna get somebody that have experience and know these mountains, letting you know the relationship between the inhabitants of Honduras and Jamaica.
David Corey broke it down. Za-me-ka. Z-A space M-I space C-A. Doodlevision says, Elian Gonzalez. Zamaka. All right, David. I see you, bro. So we have a partnership between the leader of the mosquito, Zombo.
There you go speaking that French, that we. I don't like that word no more.
Well, I'm sorry. I only know one language, and I barely know that, obviously. So there is a tryst, if you will, between Jeremy II, who is the leader of the mosquito people, Nicholas Laws, who is the leader of Jamaica, and then you got England. So they all coupled up. They on the same side.
Yeah. It gets worse.
Grand Rising, Alton Clay. Peace, Copper Pie.
Peace. Everyone just coming in. Peace.
Alton Clay's fourth Vader.
May the sports be with you.
All right, so let me go and do some more reading. I'm gonna bring the screen back.
Hard hats.
Well, so we need to punch that clock again.
Yeah, we about to go into the bourbon reforms.
Yeah. All right.
Oh yeah. This is where the headaches start coming in. People that we've been reading over about the last month finna pop back up again.
All right. So let's hit. Look, break time over. I'm gonna hit that clock again. All right, time to share this screen. So we're here where it reads, we haven't got to bourbon reforms yet. I'm on this last paragraph, so I'm going to go ahead and read that out. Because we said, we left up where Jeremy I visited Jamaica in 1687. Now we're dealing with where it reads, a variety of other Europeans settled in the area during this time. An account from 1699 reveals a patchwork of private individuals, large mosquito family groups, Spanish settlements, and pirate hideouts along the coast. Britain declared much of the area a protectorate in 1740. How is this Britain now when Britain didn't become Britain until after 1770 when they took over Scotland? Anyway.
Oh, keep reading. You'll find out why they can say Britain.
Though they exercised little authority there as a result of the decision, British colonization was particularly strong in the Bay Islands, and alliances between the British and the mosquito, as well as more local supporters, made this area the Spanish could not easily control and a haven for pirates. Doodle Vision crazy. He says Maghrib, the spam of the McDonald's sandwiches. I like the way he did that. All right, time for the bourbon reforms. It says, in the early 18th century, the House of Bourbon, linked to the rulers of France, replaced the Habsburgs on the throne of Spain. The new dynasty began a series of reforms throughout the empire. The Bourbon reforms, designed to make administration more efficient and profitable, and to facilitate defenses of the colonies. Among these reforms was a reduction in tax on precious metals and the price of mercury, a royal monopoly. In Honduras, these reforms contributed to the resurgence of the mining industry in the 1730s.
Now you see how these islands, when people be like, oh, such and such had it, such and such had it, would stop looking, and we said this before, stop following the DBA. Trace the DBA back to the owners, to that corporation, to that nonprofit, to that house. And you're going to realize the House of Bourbon is behind all this. And we already know the House of Bourbon traced back to where? Germany. All this English, Spanish, all that African, man, those are DBAs, relatives, doing business as.
El Boy says, Bourbon Street in New Orleans was named after that. Bourbon Street in New Orleans was named after that. And then Aboriginal Think Tank reads text. He just found out African alphabets was created in 1928. That's a very important fact about the alphabet being created in 1928.
But they didn't have it until the Germans created it for them. The Germans gave it to them.
So whoever created your language is your daddy, right? I'm just saying. No? Okay. Grand Rising Celestial Love. Glad you was able to catch that cab. Crazy, right? Okay, so, excuse me. Under the Bourbons, the Spanish government made several efforts to regain control of the Caribbean coast. In 1752, the Spaniards built the fort of San Fernando de Omaha. How do you pronounce that? San Fernando de Omaha. Omaha. It's like almost like saying Omaha without the H. Omaha. Anyway, sorry. In 1780, the Spanish returned to Trujillo, which started out as base of operations against British settlements to the east. During the 1780s, the Spanish regained control of the Bay Islands and took most of the British and their allies in the Black River area. They were not, however, able to expand their control beyond Puerto Caballos of Trujillo, thanks to determined mosquito resistance. The Anglo-Spanish Convention of 1786 issued a final recognition of Spanish sovereignty over the Caribbean coast. So basically, it was saying, correct me if I'm wrong, Bones, that the Spanish was trying to take control of the Bay Islands. And they regained control of the Bay Islands in 1780. And they took most of the British and their allies in the Black River area. But they were not able to expand beyond Puerto Caballo and Trujillo because of the mosquito resistance. So this is basically the Spanish versus the English with the mosquito helping.
Well, let's even pull the veil all the way back, because we keep saying Spanish and English. But if we pull the veil back, Spanish are Germans and Iberians. The English are the French. People can talk a sword in their mouth. If you look up English history, even if you look up the English trace back to the House of France. They're French. These are two sides fighting with each other. French and Germans. French and Germans. Two people from the same landmass fighting. Two sides of one empire. I mean, pull the veil back behind the Spanish. Pull the veil back away from the English. If you follow the houses back on one side, on the English side, yeah. And what they say, all English houses, the first thing they say ties back to a French house, ties back to a French house. All Spanish, they tie back to a German house, Germanic house. It depends on who they end up partnering up with where you get these other DBAs. Think about it. These Germans, they partner up with the Ottomans, creating the Spanish.
Right.
Because even how we were speaking during World War I and World War II, America was so much enemies, but why millions of Germans were able to go to South America? Because who set up South America?
Germans. The Iberians and Germans, aka your Spaniards, who are your Iberians.
And while we talking Germans, all these people claiming Africa, you need to see who had them colonies in West Africa where they trying to tell you these slaves come from. You'll be shocked to find out Germany had colonies dating back to the early 1500s.
Say it again. I don't think they heard you.
Oh, everyone claiming to be an African and coming from there. Check the history, German colonies, and you will see you had German colonies way back in the lands of so-called Africa in the 1500s. And their colonies are set up in the same places they tell you these African slaves came from.
El Boria says, I've seen murals of where it talks about the French and Spanish being there, and all the streets there are in Spanish, French, and the rest are named after people, pedophile saints. Wow. Wow. LJ Free says, mosquito resistance. Sounds so Duck Dynasty. They're so intentional with these renames, bywords.
Because look what happened, y'all. Let's really look what happened. The Sami mixed in with who over there? With your Normans and all these other people, right?
Yeah, which were the Vikings.
So you had another set of French that needed allies. Arcadians. They come here, they mix in with who?
The Isa.
Creating a whole new class. Come on, you fighting somebody. You can't whoop them. You finna go get some allies, and they gonna get some allies, and we gonna get some more allies, and they gonna get some more allies, and before you know it, everybody fighting.
Yeah, Aboriginal think tank, they're under the same umbrella. As Free says, two wings, same bird. Well, one on the same bird, excuse me.
Yeah, Europeans is the title that you can lump them all up under because they're all Europeans. Come on, when you look at the census tell you North Africa is European. They tell you this. They're telling you this.
And the reason why they can claim that North Africa is European is because of land bridge that connects the south of Portugal, aka Spain, aka Iberia, to North Africa, aka the northernmost part of Africa, as they call it, which was nothing more than Maghrib.
Because you got to remember this. They purposely, in the beginning of the 1900s, put a color on Africa. The only reason that you would even think that you come from there because they put a color on it. That's why relatives, I'm going to keep saying, remove the color. Remove the colorism that they put in us. Remove that part. Because trust me, once you remove that part, you can see it clearly then. This is capitalism. Had nothing to do, regardless on what they try to trigger in emotion, this had nothing to do with race or none of this is capitalism. The only race that's going on here, they're racing to see who's going to get it first and who's going to hold on to it the longest.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, if you trace everything back, it goes back to two houses. Just like how we talked about that deck of cards. Two houses split up in four. And these four houses, there's 13 seats in each house. When they combine together, guess what? 13 ruling families. Oh, I think I'm talking too much.
Doodle Vision says Dutch African Shipping Company. African Americans always talk about the Dutch cargo company shipping slaves from Africa, not knowing these slaves were Huguenots. Facts free. The racial construct keeps the false fire burning. Race equals competition with a definite winner. definitive witness.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing people got to think about too. Because when we think about 13 colonies, 13 banks, exactly. When we think about hue or the way somebody looks, we think about complexion, right? What's the key
Yep.
word? What's the key word in complexion?
Complex.
So if we remove the complexion, we remove the complexity of who's who, right?
Bingo.
Stop looking at the paper bag test, people. That's what get us in trouble. Go ahead, Bones.
I'm gonna quote our sister Free because I love how she word things. Why we ain't asking ourselves who gave us the paper bag test? And why? Who taught us to identify people as a color? Because as a child, no child does this naturally.
Nope.
Who taught you?
And then when you really focus on complexion and you don't have the right complexion, it causes a complex. Inferiority complex.
Mm-hmm.
Aboriginal think tank said the Pangea theory was created by the Germans in 1912. Exactly. L.J. Free.
Your history was created by the Germans. Your history, your education.
McGraw Hill.
Everything that we know of was created by these Germans. And even with them fighting with their cousins, the French, at the end of the day, they're still cousins. Remember trading places? Wasn't them two brothers competing with each other? But they were still brothers. They were still brothers.
Yep.
They're competing to see who can outdo each other. But the casualties is happening to the everyday people. Oh, it was only worth $1 to them.
Yep.
Slow it down. Better peep the scene to see what's going on around you. Be aware the most previous. You're only black at particular times a year. Remember this. You are only considered black at particular times a year. I mean, everybody should know the main one. All of us considered black, what's that, November 25th or whatever day after Thanksgiving? What? You're considered black in February. And you consider black every 4 years when it's time for an election.
Yep, that's the only time you consider black.
Other than that,
the black vote.
You don't even exist. You're not even a color.
Nope.
Fade to black.
Or when they want to portray you in the news in a derogatory light. You black when something negative happened. You African American when something good happened, which means you're one of their people.
Yeah, an African American is assimilated. Look at who the people that they put in front of you. I'm gonna give everybody a little assignment to do. Next time you on Google and you looking at pictures and stuff, look up a lot of these melanated actors, actresses, and athletes. Tell me when it comes down to their profile, it don't say African American. It says American actor, American athlete, American writer. But for the everyday person, African American, black. Peep the scene and see what's going on around you.
Hey, Bones. You use Google?
You stupid.
I'm not even going there with you.
Stupid.
Why you trying
Hold on, he gonna come back. He gonna come back and say, "Hey, Bounce, you gonna use my word the way I use it?" And he gonna say, "You use Google."
I'm just saying, you can Google that.
Listen, man, why are you trying? Oh my goodness, I'm going back on mute.
Grand Rising, y'all. Piece of shit. I'm back.
El Boris says, even as a child, I never got why people call themselves black when no one looks like a shadow. Again, it's a complex. You're either going to take great pride in it or you're going to have great shame. Focusing on a complexion makes things more complicated than they're supposed to be.
When the best thing was to do was just walk away from it.
Yep. See, because at the end of the day, American Indian has no complexion. And what we mean by that is genealogy. Genealogy has no complexion. And the reason why I say this is because if you do your genealogy, you're going to find all types of people in your tree.
The lightest of light to the
darkest
darkest
of
of dark.
dark.
Stop playing.
So you're gonna disrespect and just disassociate yourself from a tree. You're gonna cut off some limbs because y'all don't share the same hue.
Hey, TMH, they're gonna meet one day because when they try to go seize that land from their cousins and them, they're gonna have to meet. It's all right. You can cut them off if you want to. You're gonna meet them when you try to get that land back that you say you're gonna get back. From who?
Exactly.
Oh, that's just me.
Okay.
Had to get mobile real quick for a second. About 20 minutes.
Alton Clay says, my grandfather has blue eyes and wavy black hair, and my mom still think he is black. Forgive me if I read that wrong, Alton Clay. Doodle Vision says, but like 52 cars went out, I'm through dealing. Now 52 bars come out, now you feel them. Now 52 cars roll out, remove ceiling. In case 52 bras come out, now you chilling. Jay-Z, really? 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 Why did I read that?
It's your boy.
You should have wrapped it.
LJ Free says, wiki, 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 wiki. Well, Mark Walton says, you from where you at, let your grandmama say different. Grand Rising, Mark Walton. But do y'all see why there is no reason to focus on complexion? Because once you do your genealogy, you're going to find, you shake your tree, you ain't going to tell them who's going to fall out.
I'm glad you said you use shaking the tree as a metaphor, TMH. Honestly, I am. Because when a tree bears fruit, are all the fruit from this tree the same complexion?
Nope.
And now if this tree is producing fruit for you to survive, are you going to dictate what you eat by the complexion?
I'm not, no.
As long as it's ripe and it's healthy for you, you're going to eat it. So why, if the things we put into our body, the things that the most important for us to even be here and survive, we don't do that. We're going to let somebody give us a created construct and we're going to follow that. That's insanity.
A complex was created because of our complexion, which make things complicated. That's why. Think about it. What's the number one argument for people that support the outer African theory? You don't love yourself. You don't love your African side.
That's self-hate. That's self-hate.
It's self-hate, trying to create a complexion.
You a culture vulture, yo. Trying to be somebody else.
Look, I can take my genealogy. But this is what I do know.
And I'm glad you said that.
Go ahead.
Self-hate is not taking the time out to do your own diligence to find out who you are. Self-hate is taking the easy road out and letting somebody tell you who you are and where you come from and who you tie back into. That's self-hate. Because you hate yourself so much that you ain't willing to do the work for yourself.
Some people would say self-hate is not taking a DNA test.
No, sell out, and that's what I will say. I can take my genealogy into a courtroom and prove who I am, and they'll accept it. I can't take my DNA test into a courtroom and prove who I am because they won't accept it. Only time my genealogy is accepted is if I'm trying to get free from being incarcerated, from saying that I was somewhere or that I was not somewhere based off of my DNA already pre-existed. I'll relinquish the mic.
And that's funny that you said that. I spent extensive hours because I done heard this argument from multiple people. So, you know, what we do, we hear something, we finna research it. We ain't finna rush. If we got to put time, we put time into it. I have been looking for hours of footage, reading, and on top of more reading, I cannot find one not one, not even half a case where somebody was able to use ancestral DNA in the court of law.
So Africa put me on the map.com DNA .dna is not gonna hold up in court, you say?
How can, listen, this is the thing that's so stupid. All right, we know this whole Ghana thing going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
They telling people that they got their ancestral DNA leads them back there. So why this ancestral DNA cannot allow me to return back to this country without a visa, without a passport?
Yeah, because all you would need is your ancestral DNA showing that you're from Ghana. You don't need a visa. You Ghanaian. You should, you should be able to claim your citizenship as Ghanaian based off of these genealogy tests. But why can't you?
And you can't do that. You can't do that. It does not. It's you can't find one record where it was used in court. People around here talking about reparations. Think about it. If you're around here arguing for reparations and you took a DNA test and it say Africa, shouldn't that be your check?
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to walk right up in the White House, kick the door down, boom. You kidnapped me. Let me get mine. In your dream, let me hush.
Aboriginal think test says, I haven't seen a DNA saying someone came from Ethiopia. And again, if we go back to the way it always, if we go back to the fact that out of Africa theory is true, why doesn't everybody's DNA tie back to Africa? How come when you see these Europeans, these recessive Europeans doing their DNA, they don't have any, they don't tie to the continent of Africa. They have no percentage of Africans. So what's that about?
They're Martians. I told you they're not from here.
Dude,
Man, our sister Free said something else that was perfect too. Just because you found a buried body someplace, that don't mean that's where they from. How you know that he didn't show up there, was traveling and got hit by something, and that's where he, you know what I'm saying, that's where they deceased at.
Yeah, fact.
Is everybody that's buried in the ground buried where they from?
No, because I could show you, I could prove that. Just when the beaches of Normandy got stormed, there were a lot of soldiers they have a whole grave site for those Americans that are buried over there from Russian shores. So if you go back and do the genealogy on them, they'll tie back to here. Does that mean? What does that mean? That means they're not from France. But because they was buried in France don't mean they French. So just because somebody's buried somewhere, that don't mean that's where they're from. That's why genealogy is important. So if life started in Africa, then everybody's genealogy test should go back to Africa. And more specifically, should go back to a specific spot in Africa. Cradle of civilization. Ain't that what they call it? That's what the cradle has a location, right? Okay. Oh, that's right. Free put it in the chat. Entertainment purposes only. Intercontainment purposes only. Aboriginal think tank said that's true. My dad was born in North Carolina, but now buried in South Florida. So if he got dug up in South Florida, you gonna say that's where he from? Don't even make no sense. Yeah, my mom was born in North Carolina and passed away in Virginia. She's buried in Virginia, so you gonna say she's from Virginia? Is that what we doing? Is that how that works?
That's that landmass DNA. Tell you where your feet was and your people feet was, I guess.
And again, we are migratory people. We've always migrated. This information that's being presented to us shows you that we've all migrated. You got people coming from everywhere, going everywhere. So how do we know who's from where? The only way we'll truly know who we are is with genealogy. That's the only way we'll know.
I mean, look at it this way. How many people within the listening sound of this show are living in the town that they was born in?
I know I'm not.
I mean, just look at it that way. How many of us are living in the cities that we were born in?
Man, I could have been buried in 5 cities. I'm just saying.
And of course, relative Pamela Hall Pass, she says me. David Corris put in a 1. Oak Cliff says me.
Well, forget y'all.
So now, but think
I was
about
a Navy
that.
brat. I'm
That's
sorry.
3 people. That's 3 people out of a group of people that's listening. So the majority of people do not still reside on where they were born at. You might stay, but your brothers and your sisters, they leave from that area.
Mhm.
Cousins leave.
Yep.
Yeah, me and my brother both left. My father's not even where he was born from. So
Think about it. If not, genealogy would be easy. All you have to do is find one area and everybody there. I'm there, C there, we there, P there.
P there, P there, P there, P there.
So, I mean, think about it. Your own personal research shows you that that's not truthful, you know?
yeah. Yeah, yes, there are a number of us that are still living in the city that they was born, but there are just as many that aren't. No. What about those family members who actually lived overseas? I have an uncle that was born in North Carolina. He passed away in Hawaii. So somebody do excavation, they find his bones there, they're gonna be like, he's Hawaiian? No, he wasn't. He was stationed in Hawaii. He retired in Hawaii. And he passed away in Hawaii. So does that make him Hawaiian? I'm just
According
saying.
to pleasetellmewhatiwannahear.com DNA tests, yes, that makes him that.
So what we're saying is the best way to find out who your family is and understand these migration routes and understand where you come from is to do your genealogy. Doing a DNA test, that doesn't give you the migratory patterns. That tells you what the destination is based off the people that live there today. And we've already seen that the people that live there today are not the people that were there 400 years ago. They're not the people that were there 800 years ago. So if that's the case, you're comparing my DNA to somebody that's not indigenous to there. So how can you put me somewhere where they weren't originally from? Mike Eason said that's true because the only reason why I live in D.C. or was born in D.C. is because my ancestors moved from the Carolinas to D.C. Right. So, Mike, if they hadn't moved from the Carolinas to D.C., you wouldn't be in D.C. until after you became an adult and decided to move there yourself.
Then think about it. You have children and your children branch out, who have children who branch out, who have children who branch out.
Yep. I got a son that lives in Colorado.
That's why it's called a family tree. Roots don't stand still. Roots grow out. Branches and leaves grow out.
You know what, David? I'm not doing it.
I ain't
Why
messing
did I
with it
fall
either.
for it and read it anywhere in my head?
Eyeballs went straight to it. Nope, not messing with you today.
Time TMA said it, he ain't gonna do it. I read it. If he wouldn't have said that, I probably would have jumped right over.
That's why I said it. I didn't want to be the only one infected.
He said,
Thanks, David.
But y'all understand what we're saying about the narrative that's being created. So that's all we're saying. It's not that's a good decision or a bad decision. You got to do what's best for you. But the whole purpose of it is if you're going to do DNA testing and then you're going to base off of who was in the ground, then that's not accurate either. Why is it that Europeans can tell you to like before AD? Oh, they can go back. They can take their family back to BC. Why is that a problem for us? Why is it that we're not doing the same thing? And they're not using DNA tests.
They said they tracing back to BC. You struggling to trace back to just one street?
It's by grand design. It's by grand design.
thanks.
Grand
Bring it
Rising.
along.
Grand Rising Doodoo. AKA James Flame. AKA Choctaw Jimmy.
Drop it like it's hot.
Greetings, everybody on the panel. Man.
Oh, I know that sound.
Man. It wouldn't let me put it in the chat, man. They keep editing me. But I'm going to quote that again, one of those great masterminds of our generation, Eddie Griffin, and I'm going to switch it up a little bit. What do you call a monkey man sitting in a tree?
A monkey man sitting in a tree? What do you call a monkey man sitting in a tree?
Branch manager.
Oh man.
David Corey says more.
Oh man.
If someone could do me a favor, just right quick, and that's it, we could go back to what was going on, and as we keep going into Mesoamerica and South America and the Caribbean islands. But if someone could do me a favor and just type in German African colony. And tell
You said
me
German African colony?
Thanks.
what countries pop up.
See, y'all say I be trying to give people concussions. Dude,
You
gonna
hear that?
knock everybody out.
Oh man.
No more
hard
press.
hats. Hard hats.
Hard hat, you might as well dig a hole and hide.
German colonization of Africa. I have it pulled up on the screen so everyone can see.
Dig a hole and get someplace and hide.
Get in the trenches right now.
So what am I looking for?
All of these countries, and you're going to notice it's all of these countries that keep popping up when people are doing their entertainment purposes only DNA. It's the same cotton picking countries.
Man, say it again so I can hear you.
You are German.
I hope y'all dug them holes in. Dig in now. Dig in the trenches. Everybody want to ask where the fighting lies at, where the fight gonna be carried out. You done found it.
List of colonies: Brandenburg, Prussia; Arguin, Brandenburg, Gold Coast, established by German Empire; German East Africa; German Southwest Africa; German West Africa; Cameroon, Cameroon, Tuluan.
What did I say?
Keep rolling.
No, that's what they got.
German West Africa.
Yeah, German West Africa, German East Africa. It says German East Africa, German Southwest Africa, German West Africa. Then it says
Right.
Cameroon. Is that supposed to be Cameroon? Yes, German Cameroon. It's Cameroon.
Can I get
Then it says New
West
Cameroon. Then it says Togoland.
Togo? Bruh, what West Africa say though?
Yeah.
So West Africa is a German colony.
Yes, it is. Now going back to what we were saying earlier, and even a couple of days ago, I forgot where we was.
Yeah, the double dutch was ready.
I tried to warn them. No stelae hear me. I tried to warn them.
I tried.
Tried to tell them that their granddaddy was German. Trying to do them a favor.
Oh man.
Oh no.
Now we gotta do it like this.
It's a Friday.
Oh my gosh, we got West German, we got Southwest German, we got West African, oh my God, Cameroon, Togoland, what we gonna do? Oh no, it was you, it's you, now it's not you, what we gonna do?
Who was your daddy? And what does he
They
do?
wasn't ready. So it's like my 15-year-old.
Oh no.
15-year-old was going crazy during the Super Bowl, when they did the Chance the Rapper, little Doritos commercial, whatever that is, where he was like, and then you got the Germans in the background, known as, that new old kids on the back alley. I want it that way. So now you got it that way. You thought it was all mixed up. You thought it was Chance the Rapper song, but it was those Germans in the background. So what are you? What are you? So everybody on you which African and judge it back. Why? Does your DNA not trace you back to Germany, Deutschland? Again, those Vikings. I say and I say and I say again, when the elders of Botswana tell you they were brought there to mine the jewels, to go in there and get the diamonds, and what is right next to Botswana? The country known as Namibia today, which was the West German colony. West African German / Deutsch, whatever you want to call them. Come on, son. Why you think the beers? What are the beers? And I'm not talking about the beers you drink. I'm talking about the beers, the diamond people. Why you think they still there?
Yep.
How you think
had
they
that
came
colony
up?
there?
And you'll see that now those lands that were once German are now British because they were the same people. You'll find those same lands. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. That Dutch, the Dutch cargo that was going back and forth. Yes, they were bringing Huguenots over here, Slavs. We already talked about the Huguenots, which is a mixture of those people. So why aren't you being traced back to that land? Why are you 76% West African? Cameroon, we just found out who was in Cameroon. The Germans. So you admit there were those of us Indians that claim to be Black Dutch in order to keep our land. So are you genetically really the Black Dutch? African Americans?
Remember, Afrikers are German. The Afrikers are Germans, and they created the African language. There's no way around that.
So you German. You double German. So you keep telling that double Dutch bus. It's a kisser. I'm not a kisser.
It's a kisser.
Sounds German to me.
Yeah. Y'all play too much.
Everyone talking about the Africans funny, but you still telling lies to me.
I say West African. You know you're German. And they call it. You see me?
Oh my goodness, Charlie.
I'm like James. I'm right here feeling like Jimmy Johnson dancing on the Fruity Flakes down in Miami.
Yo.
I mean, dead. What more? What is this debate about? You claiming a place and don't even know that there have been German colonies there since the 1500s. So if the first recorded slave didn't get bought to 1629, who did they bring?
Furman, German. He's a racist. It's a racist name.
Aboriginal think tank says, so the Pans are German agents? Oak Cliff says Afrique.
Not to be confused with Russian agents.
Isn't it World War I and World War II? You got Germans all in the South Americas. You got Chinese and the Japanese out there with the Germans in Central America. Come on, man. But they enemies, y'all. They enemies. They so much enemies that they hated these people when they were so far away from us that they let them get closer and move into the America and South America. Really?
Don't a lot of your states have German towns? Just wondering.
Mm-hmm. But you hated Germany so much. You hated Hitler and them so much. Brazil, the population of Brazil, over 12 million people in Brazil are of German descent. During the wars, Argentinians are German. Argentina, yeah, that's German. Mm-hmm.
Don't scroll back up to some E.J. Coppertone said all this plays along with them bringing the German scientists here, Royal African Society, and Reconstruction after World War I.
Exactly. Who told you was an African? A German?
The German.
Go back to this whole Darwinism. German. Sigmund Freud, German. Everybody who always tried to tell you who you was has been a German.
You was who
So
you was before you
what
got
is
here.
there? What are we debating? Why is this even still a thing? I mean, why? And how long does a theory have to be around before it's just dead? It's not even. We don't even talk about it no more. If you cannot replicate the experiment, it's false. We all know how you do a scientific experiment. If we can't repeat it, it's false.
You don't work like that.
Talking out of Africa in the theory. So if that's the case, why we still got monkeys? Some zookeeper should have called the news station by now.
Yes.
Said, hey, we closed the zoo and there was 4 monkeys in here. When I opened up this morning, there were 4 naked people. I need a news crew here now.
Nah.
I'm just
Right
saying.
now. I ain't even called my wife. Come over now. Oh, man.
The way people take pictures with phones and stuff now, listen, National Enquirer don't even got a fake photo like that. What's really going on?
Come on, son.
Where TMZ at?
Come on, son. Where Jake Gyllenhaal on them at? Pull up then.
Can I? And I'm sorry. I just can't help myself because it's Peebo Bryson Day for me.
A whole new world.
Yes, Peebo, my main man, Peebo Bryson. Yeah. I was gonna read something right quick, and I'm gonna get off the mic because I always talk about, and if you're from West Africa, you really from West Africa, it's not a shot at you. This is really a shot at the African Americans that are talking about how much we hate our blackness. So I'm going to read the components of a civilization, and you let me know if these West Africans fit these components. 1, an organized central government. Complex religion. Because voodoo started in Haiti and went over to West Africa, so that's out. Job specialization, maybe if they dirt catchers, there's plenty of dust out there for them to catch. Social classes. Let's see. Social classes. Everybody's monkey, man, so nobody's in a social class. There's no hierarchy. Everybody's the same. Writing. That's where we. Writing. The Dutch, aka the Germans, wrote your script. You, by your own definition, you scientists, cannot be a civilization because you had no written script. The Dutch wrote your language. Now, how about that? So you're going to talk about these are the same people, right? They came over here early. You talking about, that was such. They came over and established in the Americas. The Indians had written script. So you telling me again, is there something in the water that the people over here, the people over there were dumb, got put in shackles, all of a sudden came over here and they were smart? They started writing all this stuff that I'm not. If you're a West African, blessyourheart.com. Knock yourself out. Art and architecture. I'm sorry. Art, what? Somebody, you drawing in the sand? You drawing up football plays in the dirt? And public works. I just want to get that out. And I'll read organized central government, complex religion, job specialization, social classes, writing, art, and agriculture, or architecture, and public works.
Well, James, before you leave, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Real quick, can you let the relatives know, in order for a scientific theory to become a fact, what are the 4 things you need?
We got to go there, yo.
Oh, my goodness. You have to observe. I'll say that right there. You have to observe. That's 1. Then you have to see the components and be able to replicate it. I'm just gonna stop right there with those 2, because you can't even rinse and repeat. So when people keep talking about evolution, but it started 700 billion gazillion years ago, can you replicate it? Did you observe it? And that's science. For those that are talking science, they keep trying to get you mixed up with adaptation from and talking about evolution. Adapting to your environment is not evolution. You don't do a change in kind. You cannot say if you grow more hair in the winter because your body is trying to stay warm than you do in the summer, your body is adapting to that environment. But you are still a human. You didn't change into another creature. A bird that was being observed by Charles Darwin was still a bird. They get the finches. A finch is still a finch. Whether you have a big beak or small beak, it's still a bird. Show me a change in kind. Replicate that. And last time I checked, there are a lot of ladies in the chat. There was no guessing game. You did not push a chimp out of your body. You didn't push an elephant out. You did not. I'm still waiting on the monkey, still waiting on the Planet of the Apes, where the monkey comes back and said, mama, mama, mama. I'm still waiting on that. Where are these middlemen? And I'm gonna start posting what they were putting in there that they had. They said that the missing link, and I know I'm old school, but for those that's my old missing link, that's not called the missing link anymore. Well, the common ancestor from Tricky Dicky Dawkins, it has a chimpanzee on this diagram. Then the middle, it has what they call an African, and then they have a Grecian, and says that the African is the common ancestor or the missing link between the chimp and the Greeks. Because they say that their civilization didn't start until the Greeks. And then that monkey looks like, what's his name, that played Nat Turner? Nate, what's his name? See how they do you? See how they do you?
I'm sorry. I apologize.
If y'all want to get the other four elements, Brother Bones, can you do me a favor? Just put it on the website. Can you put the four elements of a scientific experiment?
Yeah, most definitely.
Put it on the A2 website. Put it on there.
I got you.
And that's science.
Yeah, we
We
need
dropping
that.
science. What did Dr. Dre try to tell y'all? What they tell y'all, NWA tell y'all? He said, I'm dropping science while y'all dropping English, even if Yella makes it a cappella. I must confess that I don't smoke weed or cess. Huh? Y'all remember that? Huh?
Yay.
West.
They try to tell you. It's real simple. So everyone's talking about all of this science, and they didn't have no. And when I'm saying religion, I'm not saying in the sense of being bound. They're talking about in a spiritual sense. So when you're dealing with all these linear atheists that talk about these great societies and these great empires, by your own teachers that you are following, they're saying without an organized religion, you are not a society. And you wonder why we confused today. Because even they tell you, even though they try to demonize it, they tell you that the Haitians, they rallied around what? Voodoo. Then they kicked the French out. There is something about spiritual connection. And I'm not trying to turn this into an evangelistic hour. Y'all do what y'all do. I'm not pushing that at all. I'm saying if you want to hug trees, go hug trees. But if you're going to follow linear atheists, you cannot be a society. According to their teachers, you cannot. And if you don't have a written script, because things will pass down to us orally, but the elders and the wise men, or you know them as the shaman, or the yamin, they wrote things down. That is why when you see one group of people conquer another, what is the first thing they do? They burn down their libraries. What was happening to us? All of a sudden, all these fires that happened to take place in government establishments that had our census records.
Records being burned.
Food. It's not a coincidence. They're burning who you are. So you cannot go back and trace it. Think about it, people. So you following people that hate their relatives. And I'm gonna put it out there. You never hear this group talk positively about their relatives. I double dog dare anybody. Because I've heard one out of the group talk, his mother had just transitioned. He was talking bad about her, called her blankety blank because she said she was an Indian. And he's like, I'm African. I don't care what she said. Who does that? And I'm off the mic. I gotta go.
The actual proof.
Now, what is again that we supposed to be looking up for scientific what?
Oh, the 4 scientific things that actually, the 4 steps of a scientific theory, where it transfers from a theory to a fact.
Okay.
We all did this back in school. The experiments to where either you got a Petri dish and you had to run it for, you get what I'm saying? There's steps to let you know how a theory becomes a fact. And if it can't pass these, then it dies. The experiment must go away. Why are we holding on to something that can't even pass the first 2 steps in the chain? Matter of fact, you can't pass the first one. How did you observe this? Where is the DeLorean? I need a flux capacitor.
And the argument, because I won't even say that it's a dialogue or even a debate. It's an argument, because your arguments if to be a debate, there has to be concrete evidence, and then you say there's a different perspective on the two. Give you an example. If you say, okay, President John F. Kennedy was shot and killed in Dallas, Texas. Fact. Now you can go and say, hey, it was the guy that shot out of the book depository. Oh no, it was somebody in the grassy knoll. Now you have a debate based upon the fact that it happened. You want to have an argument with somebody over evolution, and there is no facts to support it. Zero. Because then again, they're talking about the A1B1C1 haplogroup goes to the G1E1 genome, and the allele says that minus the hypotenuse. Again,
out of 1%, they're telling you this, though. Out of 1% of your genetic makeup can tell them all this. Man.
So are they correct? Is your German gene stronger than the others? Because if you 76% West African in the lands that they give you, the countries that they give you were German colonies, you better start thinking again, where's your German? So are you saying that the strongest gene in your body is a German gene? Then they had the argument talking about, when you have identical twins that have different ancestry DNA. They say, oh no, and then they get back to talking about, oh no, because this one is susceptible to leukemia. 2 different things, dude. Your location has nothing to do with you being, having a certain gene, or you could possibly get leukemia. Come on, son. Or sickle cell. If you have a sibling that has sickle cell, is that not still your sibling? Come on, son. See how they try to mix the two. They try to confuse you, and like you said before, because one person is buried here, and who are the bodies that they're digging up? What are these bones that they're digging up to test you with? What's the sample size that they're giving you? But you never come back and put in the chat. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry. But Bones, I thought you were saying.
He was. I think he What happened? Hold on, let me check. He here. He probably muted. Something going on.
I shared this with you all before. Let's come back over here to the Americas. I'm sorry that I deviated from the subject, but I'm just tired of dealing with these knuckleheads because it's this same 12-month to 14-month cycle. They come back with the same information, and those that were not privy to YouTube are thinking that these guys are the smartest masterminds in the universe. And all it is, they just got a water head. They don't have a mega mind. Don't let them fool you. They coming with the same information, but back to the Americas. So now you get all of this coming in. You get the influx of people, and you get the Maghribs coming over here. Like I say, the spam of sandwiches. They made up of all kinds of stuff. You don't know what you're eating with spam. You get all that snot meat or whatever that's in the can. Don't eat that stuff. So you got the Maghribs coming over here. Mixed with all these other Europeans, and you're going to see the caste system that we have today. Why in Latin America, the caste system is so complex. And I say Latin America again, anything south of the Mason-Dixie line, because they used to have that same caste system, especially when you go to New Orleans, they still do. When they talk about the Maroons, the Octoroons, the Quadroons, the Baboons, all the rest of these oons, that was the caste system. So you're like, okay, I'm looking at somebody, but no, they're a quadroon. How do you know that? What is it dealing with? So it's the same complex system about those, because you can have, and I give an example. If y'all listen to Fat Joe, and he will tell his story about you looking at him, you be like, wait a minute, he's not, because he uses a certain word that Jesse Jackson and all them got banned, so you can just say the N-word now. He says that a lot in his song. They say, how can you say that looking how you look? He said, man, when I go back to Puerto Rico, I'm no different than y'all here. Because you looking at him and you thinking about him being so fair-skinned, but in their caste system, he's no different than me. And you definitely can tell the difference between me and Fat Joe. So why is that? It's the same caste system that they put into place, which goes back to this German house of cards. That we keep falling for the okie doke, and you got people that are claiming they are giving, because I'm Hispanic, that they're giving homage to those house of cards from Germany. Which is why I say again, your West Africans, when they don't mention families or anything like that, what do they live in? What do they say that their people are? Relatives? A house. In love is a house, and you got the key? What? A house is a home for love. And I've learned that it don't take much to break up. Is a house of love. What? Houses. Your book of cards. 52 cards come out. Thank you, Jay-Z. It's Jay-Z and P.O. Bryson. Thank you.
And even when you spread these 52 cards out, all over the land, guess what? These 52 cards know what houses they go back to. Mm-hmm. They marked unless you know what the 4 houses they go back to. Mm-hmm. But the question I wanted to ask everybody, well, not really a question. For 5 minutes, y'all, let's play this out. Let's play this out that this whole scenario of ancestry DNA for 5 minutes, it's real. It works. They can tell you where you come from through a swab, okay? So if this is real, why when a crime is committed, you need the criminal's DNA to find him? If ancestry DNA is so good, I should be able to get DNA from a crime scene, put it in the same computer, and it leads me to the house of the criminal. I'm just saying. They can tell you where you came from without no DNA of your ancestors, so you should be able to tell me where that criminal at without his DNA. Whatever DNA you got from that crime scene, you should be able to trace back to a person, right back to their house.
Whoops.
They still got cold cases.
Oops.
And why did they need the dude that got caught through the ancestral DNA? Why did they need his family members and all them to end up putting their DNA for over all these years into the system before they finally found him? Shouldn't ancestral DNA been find him?
Whoops.
I mean, if it's so real and it's so good, you don't need nobody else's DNA. They can tell you everybody's DNA in you from a swab from your cheek. But you have genetic material left at a crime scene and you can't find the criminal.
I have a quick question. The last name Sorensen, where is that from?
I'm Swedish.
So James Lavore Sorensen is the individual responsible for creating the largest DNA database. Sorensen Genomics, LLC, is an independent international accredited human genomics DNA testing laboratory based in Salt Lake City, Utah. The laboratory was founded in 2001 by the late James Lavore Sorensen. He's also been credited with being basically the inventor of the DNA test for genealogy. What are Swedish? What are Swedes? People from Sweden are what?
Somebody made up.
I'm Viking, yeah.
Which ultimately goes back to your Germans, right?
Yes. No man on the Minnesota Viking. What? Huh? Woo. Took a DNA test, find out I'm 100%. What?
Remember that song now? One eye, one horn, flying purple people eaters.
His lab is based in Utah. What group of people owns Ancestry.com?
Those people from Utah, huh? Your Latter-day Saints.
Okay. And this company just so happens to be based in Utah. He so happens to be of Swedish descent, which are basically your Germans. Okay. Coincidence? I don't think so. So I'm putting all these links in the chat.
Right, Free. You can't tell me all the parts and where they come from to make up a hot dog, but you can tell me where my people came from over a couple of thousand years ago. All right, we believe you. Not.
And for those of you who are not aware, whenever you go and look at the policies and procedures of privatization, they deal with third parties. So whenever 23andMe and Ancestry.com say they do not turn over your DNA to police or to anybody else, they do. They don't, but they third party do. I'm just saying.
Yep, you better read that policy and understand it. And why would you want to give anybody your genetic makeup that you don't know? You can't see what they're doing with it. You have no idea what they're doing with it. And you wonder why your water killing you and nobody else around you. All right.
And they tell you that they can manipulate it, but you cannot manipulate the blood. I go back to one of my favorite sci-fi movies, and the original one is cheesy. But go back and look at The Thing. And what were they doing when they were there in the Arctic Circle and it was freezing? But how were you able to tell who was an alien and who was a human? You put fire to the blood. You cannot deny the blood, which is why, again, as you gentlemen have been saying so eloquently on the panel, you cannot slap any 23andMe on the thing and say, that's my DNA makeup, this is who I am. That judge is going to laugh you out of a courtroom. Even better, when you're trying to connect to tribes, they laugh at you. They ask you to go back and find out who your mother, who your father's father. You got to go back so many generations. It's all about the blood. You cannot mix and match blood. Blood is what it is.
Before all this DNA foolishness, before people used to get married, what you had to take? A blood test. When they wanted to find out genetic information, they needed your blood. So if the blood is more accurate, because even to this day, blood types can't take blood from all blood types.
Nope, I
You
know
have
I
blood
can't.
types that can give to all.
Yep.
But us O's, we can't take from nobody. The blood will never lie. The blood is it's always gonna know. It's always gonna tell the truth. That's why they want to remove people from actually studying the blood. Change your diet, change what you put into your system. To slightly change and alter it a little bit. All these genetic GMOs they putting in your system. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Your DNA strand is made up of chemicals, right? And you put a lot of foreign chemicals in your body that some people can't pronounce and have no idea what they do. You got a chemical that's in your food that breaks down sugar and you put it in your body. Sugar develops the muscles in your body, so is it breaking down your muscles, man?
Find out who's giving you the information. If it's not leading you back to find out who you are, then it's just a good book. Again, for entertainment purposes only. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist in that matter. I don't start conspiracies. I'm only asking you to follow the breadcrumbs. And if a certain group of people are leading you in a direction to try to get you to follow some imaginary character and saying they have all the answers, but you never know who you are, then you still committing a federal offense. We talked about the other day, thank you, Lady Free, about the post office, that postmaster general, he will reach out and grab you because you are committing mail fraud and mail tampering. You opening somebody else's mail. So I tell my kids all the time, hey, what name is on these bills that come? It's yours, Dad. Okay, then I have a right to kick in your door, take your cell phone, and tell you what to do. When you get some bills in your name, then you can do what you want to do. So you got people that are going around opening other people's mail, and they don't know what they're reading. And then they try to say, oh, I belong here, because no, you don't belong here. You are out of pocket. Now, I'm not knocking anybody. If you Blackfoot, if you ash your feet, be ash your feet. But find out who the Blackfoot Indian tribe, who they are. So what was the original name of the Blackfoot tribe? And where did they come from?
And you can find that.
I mean, they can put this to bed. They can put this to bed easily, y'all. And this goes to anybody and everybody. If you took a DNA test that says that you're African, set up a court case to sue for reparations using that ancestral DNA. And let's see how that go. Because the one thing that I know that's true, if I do my genealogy and I tab back in and I'm a member of my tribe, I can take that to court. That's a legal identification.
Yep.
I still want to see somebody take this ancestral DNA into any court and get your citizenship back to your mother country with it. That's it.
And we're not even talking about from the standpoint of losing your American citizenship. You can have dual citizenship. That is applicable. You could have dual citizenship. It's not like an either or, because there are many people who have dual citizenship, especially those people who whose parents were in the military and they were born overseas. They have dual citizenship. So it's not a situation of you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can. The question is Do you want to?
I mean, that'll blow that all out the water.
I mean,
Think
it
about
would.
it. We don't have to arguing, going back and forth. We don't have to be name calling. We know for a fact that genealogy and your paperwork can tie you back in to what's rightfully yours. So
Yeah.
show us how our ancestral DNA tie you back into what's rightfully yours. Prove it. We do every other challenge. We're gonna take the ancestral DNA challenge. We did the American challenge, water challenges, balloon challenge, don't eat for a day challenge, slap somebody challenge. Come on. Somebody, anybody.
And I mean, there should be some people that can take it up. And there are a lot of individuals in an academic society that either have law degrees or going to law school, so they should have no problem with that happening. Now, I'm not saying it as a slight. I'm just saying it as a state of fact. To answer, who was it? Golden Moon was asking about how do you find out the names, the original names of your ancestors. Talking to genealogists of certain tribes, or talking to a genealogist of that tribe, or members of that tribe. Again, we have to get away from this 5 civilized tribes mindset. There are 5 civilized tribes. They're not the only recognized tribes. You have state recognized tribes. Chief Langley is from a state recognized tribe. And he's a forensic genealogist. He's not the only one. He's admitted out his own mouth. He's not the only one. So if he's not the only forensic genealogist of a tribe, don't you think there are other forensic genealogists of a tribe that actually know the real name of their tribes? Go talk to the tribes. I'm sure they will have no problem telling you who they are and what those original names are. And if you go back far enough in history, the congressional records or the colonial laws may have that information as well, dealing with those tribes. Choctaw Jimmy, what's another way to find out the original names of these tribes, sir?
Go back to the county records. And I know a lot of people are reaching a stalemate because they go and then they find out, oh, the records were destroyed. But the county records, and when you go back to the county records and start doing research on that county, you will find out the original name of that area and what it was called prior to being, for example, Johnson County. And it'll say that Sam Johnson in 1805 settled in this area that was known as whatever. That's the name you're going by, because again, we were named after our professions. We were named after locations because it would always tie us back to who we are. It would always tie us back to the land. So look at those county records. And sometimes you may have to literally physically go, because now we're in the digital age and they keep changing. Because even when you get these books, some of these books, when you download them, and I know somebody tried to say something about, oh, because they changed the name to such, and this is not what it said on the website. Well, the website changes things to be politically correct. Just like you keep finding African Americans, 1600s. What? Huh? How'd you put that in that book? Because now we're in the digital age. I told y'all, Prince of the Revolution versus Ready for the World. Digital display. They changing the names of stuff. So when you go back and you see the actual records, it'll tell you the name of that territory prior to whatever county it was named after. They know who you are. And again, we go back to Utah. What is Utah? Keep going to Utah, and you're going to find the answers, and you're going to find out what's going on, and you're going to find out how all that is tied in, and you're going to also look into Jake with State Farm and how your information is being filtered out through third parties. Y'all thought the people in prison just made license plates. Oh no, they're doing your insurance information too.
Yep.
And why is it us? Like I said, they know who we are. Like I say, people try to look over and laugh at the Book of Mormon, but like I say, don't read it from a religious perspective. read it for a historical perspective and find out who these people are. Why do they have our records? Why does Ancestry? Because they know who we are. They without a shadow of a doubt. He just read to you about Sorensen, the Swiss, man, the Vikings. I'm Deutschland. Those wooden shoe wearing Dutch. They know who we are. We don't know who we are.
Those individuals that replace our people as timekeepers. They're the keepers of time and genealogy now. They took over what our ancestors used to do. So
Swiss watchmakers. Swiss watchmakers. And genealogy tips, to build off what James said is, let's not get caught up on the federal census. Remember, you have a federal census, a state census, and your county census. The federal census can only tell you so much because it's every 10 years. You have state censuses. Some of them are 5 years, some of them are every 2 years, depending on the laws of the state. You have county census that can be from every year to every 2 years. So when you're doing your genealogy, you just can't go to a site like Ancestry and expect to find all the answers. The best way to do about it is use multiple search engines and compare records across. Because like they said, Ancestry.com works mainly with federal census a lot. With FamilySearch.org, it works with state and local counties. So the information you find on one site, put it in on the other site.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like if you were going to play lotto. If you buy one ticket, your chances of winning are slim. The more tickets you buy, the greater your chances. So the more different search engines that's designed for genealogy that you use, you have better chances of bringing something back.
And they tell you on these DNA ancestry websites that your results may change depending on how many people. And I say again, we know without a doubt that Indians went to the continent of Africa. So why aren't any West Africans showing any American Indian DNA results? And we know under the American colonizational society that they were shipped over there, and they were shipped over there before that, because we talked about all of these wars that were going on and that Indians were going over there. And they're speaking to this day, they were still speaking Vai in West Africa, and they had a written script. And Vai started over here. So how is it that these people had a written script and are speaking Vai? Why is it that you still have these battles going on over in so-called West Africa and Liberia? Again, because these Africans knew that those that were coming over were not African. So why did all this civil war take place over there? They don't want to discuss that part. I'm like, oh no. But again, you're covering all of this that took place when I gave you the elements or the characteristics of a society. You have the Vai language, which was a written language, written script that the people brought over, Indians brought over there and were teaching West Africans Vai, and they still speak Vai to this day. The arts, the crafts, the religion that you know as voodoo, spirituality, it went from here to there. They're gonna try to tie you down into one little area, not even a 1/1,000,000th of an area called New York. New York is a huge city compared to other cities all over the world. But when you're talking about dealing with the timeline, as Brother No Sellout talks about, it is not even a grain of sand. So you have all these mixture of people talking about New York, and everybody came from Africa. Why were they selling in New York when the climate is not conducive to farming? So why are they bringing all these so-called African Negroes to New York to do what? Because after you erect the buildings, what else is there for your quote-unquote slave labor to do? So what all this taking place down south? And like I say, even get into when we talk about the Americas and what's going on in the Americas, and talking about those Swiss watches, how they changed the calendar just from yesterday's show to today's show. We went through the timelines like, wait a minute, how did this happen when this country didn't even exist? And then you're going 200 years back to go back to the future, and people start getting eliminated off your photo album because they did something wrong in the past. Then you come up, what was his name? I know brother no sellout. What was his name? They ended up getting became the sports bookie and made all that money and changed the town when all them went back and Back to the Future. He was running things.
Oh man.
Oh,
Where's Copper?
Biff.
What'd he say?
It was Biff.
You talking about Biff?
Yeah, Biff.
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about Biff? Yeah, okay.
Remember, he got the sports book. He got the sports book and
OG
went back
Donald
and
Trump.
did it on all the games. Yeah.
OG Donald.
So you telling me they had that because I really want to know. They had that ability to go back and forth, up and down, all throughout the past and the future, and changing all these events. Because again, you read about, and that's why I keep saying them again, the girl Finu. They were giving everybody, every European that came over, they were giving them HE hockey sticks. And you're gonna find out these girl Finu are your maroons. So I'm sorry to those Jamaicans that are talking about, oh, I'm African because maroons. No, they left. It tells you they left the mainland and went to Jamaica. Why are you going to all the other islands you get to? Why did they go there? They knew where they were from.
Yep.
These people know where they are from. They went back home. They were going there. They went there willingly. See, that's why they keep telling you these slaves. They went there willingly for work because they were working with the sugar cane. And they were like, nope, you guys don't want to pay us. You guys are not treating us right. And today's terminology, vernacular, they would say, you were treating us like slaves. Peace, I'm out. I quit. I don't know about y'all, but I've been living long enough that when I was young, I had a couple of jobs, and I'm like, wait a minute, I quit on the spot. I literally took off my gear and walked off the site because this is not what you told me during orientation. I'm out. And that's what they did. So then they sent Nicaraguans to go and do what? To bring them back because those in Nicaragua were the same people. That's why I was breaking it down before. Only you know your cousins. If nobody else in the room know your folk, you better know your folk. So how do they know where they were hiding unless their cousins knew where they were from? Because you think about just blow up the whole, all the Caribbean islands. How you gonna start finding people out of all those islands? Come on, son. You know how long that would take to find somebody? Where's Waldo? I still ain't found Waldo in that painting. Somebody help me. If we can't find Waldo, how you gonna find a group of people on all those islands? And who has that kind of resources to send people looking for them? Now I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna yield the mic. They keep telling you again, see, this is the facade that they try to give you. Oh, all of these Africans and they didn't know about the waters and couldn't swim. But you keep reading about all these people in the Caribbean that could sail, were expert salesmen and fishermen. So again, if these were Africans and these people sailing all over the place, it's about, oh, they took over the ship, they took over the Spanish ship, they took over the Portuguese ship. Why in blue blazes did they not go back to Africa? So if you took over a ship enough to land on an island and you stay on that island, then or you crash, so-called crash on another island, chances are these were people being shipped from one place to another and didn't want to go over the ship and went back to their homeland.
Bingo.
Nobody went back to Africa. Show me where they went back to Africa. Y'all keep it's follow the logic.
Say that part again. Say that part again about the ship. Why did that ship end up on that island? Say it again, please.
Because that's where they were from originally. That's why you're going to see over and over. You read, like I put a snippet of the book in the back chat yesterday, where they talking about, oh, these the women, the indigenous women of this land, talking about the mainland, had no problem marrying and having children with these quote unquote Negroes. And those Negroes were from the Caribbean. They were Caribs coming in to get a wife. And they would call them, this is what they would call these so-called, that the British called Negroes. They said that the indigenous people of the land, of that land, because we talk about Honduras, because this was British Honduras, known as Belize today. And it says they called them black demons. But it was black demons in a sense of they were talking about the Ek Balim, the Ek Awuak, a Ruak, a Wak. We talk about that at a later date too. It was a term of endearment. It was paying homage because they knew that they were the original people going back to the Balim, the Balaam. That you never hear these Afrocentric people talk to you about the priesthood, the elders and the wise people of the Americas. They never talk about that. But they give you African tradition. And that's why I said I can't wait. I can't wait for it to come. But Chief Langley, I guarantee you he's gonna tell you, wait a minute, I went over there and I could read some of that so-called Egyptian script. So why is it that when elders go over to Egypt, they can read it, but the Egyptians, so-called Egyptians, and the people over there, and the elders in South America and everywhere else, they can't read our script? Somebody's lying somewhere. And where is Puss in Boots? I yield the mic.
To the chat, everyone that has an Ancestry.com account, if you're using Family Search, I'm going to do a video and release it later on this evening to show you how you export that information from Family Search and upload it into, download it from Ancestry.com and upload it into Family Search. So that way you're not stuck putting all that information back in. You can export it as a file and move it back and forth. And it stays updated. You update it in one, export it to the overall new updated stuff goes in. And I'll have that video out this evening.
I have a question for the panel. We were talking about the mosquitoes. What was the makeup of the mosquitoes again?
You said what was the makeup?
Yes, what was the makeup of the mosquitoes?
They were a mixture of African American. Hold on, let me pull it up. 1 second. The mosquito. It says they are a mixed race of northern end. In the northern end of the territory, the people are primarily African Native American ancestry. Others are mixed with African Native American and English descent. The territory extends from Cape Camaron, Honduras to Rio Grande de Motagapa, Nicaragua, along the Mosquito Coast in the Western Caribbean zone.
Iberians and the original inhabitants.
Yep. So those are your Samis, right? Or they're former Samis.
Exactly, your Samis, and you know them better in Mexico as you go further north as your mestizos. Those are the same people. That's why I want you to read it. You see where these words are coming from. Mestizos and mosquito are the same folk. And some of them folk come out looking like you, which is why I've been saying about a particular individual that's in charge of a certain group with his mosquito skin vest that he wears. Because they look like you. Who are they paying tribute to? There's a method to my madness. People keep saying, James Plains, Doodoo Vision, why do you post those crazy videos on your channel? There's subliminal messages. Mosquito skin vest, jacket. Look him up. You thought he looked like you. You thought he was one of you. Till he got arrested and came out the same day on CNN. I yield the mic.
He got booked faster than the history of booking.
No one ever asked why he was processed so quickly. Well, normally it's a 12-hour process. So.
Just like
He was
we don't
in and
stop
out in
to
time to
ask.
catch the evening news. In and out in time to catch the evening news.
What you say, James?
I was just saying, just like we don't stop to ask, because there are people because they look like us. Why? Ask them, why are you pushing Africa? Now, just follow logic. Africa, specifically West Africa, on us. You're rocking an Ankh. You're talking about all the greatness of Egypt, but you never talk about any great civilizations of what you call West Africa. I'm sorry, because there is none. You can't go up here talking about Mali and all the rest of these places, because we talked about who built the foundation of that area, known as Mauritania and Morocco and all that today. It was not sub-Saharan West Africans. So where are these sub-Saharan West African great civilizations? So you went from so-called building your pyramids in Egypt, and then all of a sudden you went west and got dumb. Then you came over here and got smart again. Y'all believe that? Like I say, just keep following the logic. Ask them why are they pushing that? And their DNA never shows up as never shows up Ethiopian, never shows up Egyptian, never shows up anywhere in that region. So why is that? So if y'all migrated from that area and went to West Africa, because even the Dogons themselves tell you that they came from Europe. So if you're gonna go against all of these elders of all these various cultures that are telling you they were brought there, they didn't come from there, and then they're gonna talk about we're not embracing who we are, but they never discuss genealogy. And I double dog dare you to ask any of them to talk about their relatives. None of them do. Not one of them do. But because they look like you thinking, oh, they telling me, and they're telling me right. And you take, and they always say, take a DNA test, take a DNA test, take a DNA test. Fine, take your DNA test. Lady Free just put in the chat yesterday. When you say, wait a minute, my records are showing I've done my genealogy. We'll adjust it accordingly. It's like a teacher giving you a bad grade. I'll never forget. I'll say this and I'll leave it alone. My twins were in the 5th grade. And you know, like when you come back from, go back over summer and they ask you to write about, oh, what'd you do over the summer? And then, well, one of the things that was on the test, and this was a state standardized test, it said, talk about a change in your life. And they both wrote about, because they were twins and didn't even talk about it, didn't even know the question was on that test. They wrote about when we relocated from one part of Texas to another and then moved back. And the state people gave them a failing grade both and said, no, that wasn't a change. I said, yes, it is. When you're relocating from one place to another, that's a change. Guess what? They changed their grade. I said, was everything structured properly? Did they have 4 to 5 sentences in each paragraph? Were any grammatical errors, punctuation errors? No. Everything was set up perfectly, but it wasn't dealing with the subject. Yes, it was. How could they change it? Lady Free Sister just told you, went in there and said, here's my genetic, here's what my genetic makeup should be based on my genealogy. Why did they change it accordingly? Why are they grading you on a curve? If I go right now, I'm asking this, I'm asking each all on the panel a question. Brother TMH, what brand of computer or laptop do you have?
I have an HP and I have a Toshiba.
Okay. Now, Brother Bones, what kind of equipment do you have?
HP, and my music equipment is funded by Steinberg.
Brother No Sellout, what kind of equipment do you have?
Apple and Toshiba.
All right. And I have an HP. Now, all of us have various products. Now, if we go in right now to the number keys and we put in 1 + 1, what should come out?
2.
So why is it that you can send your same spittle to all these different agencies and you come out with different results? Uh-oh. I'll yield the mic. I got to go. I'm out of here.
Oh my goodness, man. I'm just going to go on mute.
Mm-mm-mm. So at the end of the day, it's all about knowing who you are, knowing what tribe you're from, so you can know where to start. Because until you do that, it's very difficult to do anything else. Again, your genealogy, your proof of who you are, will pretty much trump anything. No pun intended. It will allow you to, it will cause the science of DNA to change its results on your behalf based off of your family tree. DNA will not make you change your family tree. So much for science, right? Knowing who you are will allow you to know where to start. It also allows you to know who everybody is around you, because once you know who you are, based off of what your ancestors called you and themselves, it will put everybody else in a proper perspective. And like James was telling us last night, you know, people from Jamaica, their ancestry comes from, they got cousins that are Yamasee. I mean, Jamaica, Yamasee, makes sense to me. So knowing exactly what that tribe was called and why they were called that allows people from Jamaica to tie themselves back to the Yamasee tribe. But if they didn't know that, or they use another term that somebody else called them, then how are they supposed to know? They tie back, or they have cousins in Jamaica or Jamaica. You know, like for instance, if I stuck to the French word Sioux, and I realized it was one, not the correct tribe, first of all, but that my tribe was Catawba Saponi, which are Isa, which are Itza, then how would I know how to tie my family back in? How would I know how to see how everything operates and tie back into Mayan culture? Until you know, it's very difficult. Knowing who you are also lets you know who the gatekeepers are. I keep saying that. And I'm not saying it because it's for a soundbite. I'm saying it for a reason. When you start realizing who the tribes are that started selling us out, and then you realize that there are people who operate within those tribes and they still selling us out, and they coming in the chats and bigging people up, talking about what they did for their genealogy, but not helping you with your genealogy, that might explain why. So that's why we do what we do, to help you tie back into your tribe, your clan, your house, whatever group that you feel comfortable with. Because at the end of the day, once we shake these trees, there's going to be a whole bunch of people that fall out. Some will look like us, some won't. So don't be surprised. So it's very crucial and very critical to do your genealogy, your family tree genealogy. The family tree, the type of family tree that's admissible in court, the type of family tree that will override a DNA test from Ancestry.com, the #1 leading DNA company. Just a thought. So before we go and start the salutations, so people can get up out of here, before we start salutations, is there anything that anybody else want to say about what we talked about today?
No, I think we about nailed it. Stop letting people tell you who you are. Can't nobody tell you who you're not.
All right. So with that, no sellout. What do you got for the good people before they head on out for the day's rising?
Appreciate everybody. Peace to the panel. Thank y'all for the pain. Peace to the chat. Thank y'all for showing up today, as usual, like y'all always do on these Fridays. Man, Do your genealogy, please, please, please. Stop letting people tell you who you are. Stop taking on pet names, and man, do some research if you don't, you don't know where what something is or what. Just start reading. That's all I got to say. That's what I'm doing. I'm reading. You got to read to keep up. That's all I got to say. Peace to the chat. Peace to the panel.
All right. Doodle Vision, aka James Flame, aka Choctaw Jimmy. We definitely appreciate everything that you do, all the information that you provide. We know that a lot of people are pulling on you. We know the town of Anna, Texas, has a lot of reference for you. That's why they're trying to make you the mayor, the governor, and the president. But with that being said, what do you want to leave the people with today before we head on out?
Oh, sorry. I have a different phone from you guys, so when I hit the mic button, it doesn't work. So I have to put in a different spittle in the tube to get a different result.
Don't do that.
I just wanted to say that, again, it has been an honor and a pleasure to those on the panel, to those on the chat, the best chat in the universe. Don't let anyone tell you any differently. And do some research on William Young. And you're going to find out when all this African talk started. William Young, he's British. And you're going to find out what happened and how all this African talk. Because prior to that, it was moving one group of Indians to another area with another group of Indians. Then going to another group of Indians and moving Indians around. And it wasn't always Indians that you're thinking like, because they labeled them as slaves, Slavs. They didn't have on shackles. They were going there because they had been going there before. They've been going to the mainland. That's why the writers keep saying, hey, they didn't have a problem because it was the Carib coming in to the mainland, getting their wives, having babies. They were all part of the same people. Then you're going to find out how the British started separating. Oh, you are too dark to be over here, so you go on that side. Too dark to be over there. Start looking at what happened in St. Thomas. And start finding out what happened in St. Thomas. Then you're going to start to see how they were separating us into different classes. But again, if everyone in Mesoamerica is agreeing that the Olmec, the AKA She people, are the mother civilization of them all, and then you have some that say, oh, those they didn't have those features like that. That wasn't them. These same folks that try to push you on Africa. And I say again, but then they say go to the pyramids and temples all over in Kemet. See how they look like us? And then they throw the same opposite monkey wrench, and I use that term very, very loosely and tongue-in-cheek. They throw that same monkey wrench and tell you that we are not the Olmec, but when you go in the temples, you see people on the walls that look like us. All different shades of us. So how is that possible? How are you going to tell me that those on the wall in Kemet are your people, West African, but your DNA shows that you're West African and not Cometian or from Kemet? So who are you? What are you? And I leave you with the infamous words of the most revered and hated man on the planet, at least for the last couple of weeks, Dave Chappelle. Don't keep letting these West Africans, African Americans fool you because they keep saying, I'm African, I'm African, I'm African. My DNA says I'm African, although it says 1%, and then it says for entertainment purposes only. And you say, well, how do you know you're African? And their response is, that's how I feel inside. Don't let them fool you. They got our children thinking at 4 years old, I was born a male, but I feel like a girl. It's how I feel inside. Go with who you are. I yield this cotton picking mic. I gotta go. Love y'all. Thank you for coming out. God bless you. Good night.
As always, thank you, Due to Vision. Thank you, No Sellout. To new subscribers, hopefully this episode gave you a little bit of insight about who we are, what we do, and why we do it. Hopefully you'll come back. We appreciate you for subscribing. To the Autochthonous Assembly A2 Silent Majority, we appreciate you for who you are, what you do for yourself, your community, and your tribe, house, or clan. To the best chat ever, y'all know what it is, y'all know what to do, y'all know I appreciate you. And to the panel, y'all make my job so easy. Thank you, thank you. Again, it's all about genealogy. That's why we do what we do. We're not here to tell you who you are. We're not here to tell you who you are not. We are not here to debate. At the end of the day, we're just here to present information with sources. And then we provide those sources so they can be evaluated, reevaluated, torn apart. And then if there's a discrepancy, disagreement, send that information in the email. We'll discuss it. And if it comes to the fact that we are actually wrong or we're in error, we will make that correction on air. It won't be something that gets slid or hid up under the rug, because we're about getting it right. We're not concerned about being right. So hopefully that helps you understand who we are, what we do. And with that, I'm going to relinquish the mic to Bones H. McCoy so he can take us up out of here. Bones, it's on you, bro.
All right. Appreciate it. Dudu said something that was very interesting that stuck out to me. 1%. If I had 1% of the winning lottery numbers, did I win the lotto?
No.
So how can I have 1% that says you're this, and that's what I am? If 1% of having 1% of something does not qualify you to be a majority in any other aspect in your life, why would it heal? Again, it goes back to stop letting people tell you who you are and who you're not. We have to, no matter what it costs us personally, keep digging through to make sure our children are not stuck in this same mess. So on that note, it's always fun when we get to kick it with the relatives. No place we will rather be. Until tomorrow, rise and show. Everyone have a very, very blissful day, and peace.
I found the mute button. Peace, y'all. Sorry, I'm on a different device than them.
Warning, hard hats, pickaxe, shovels, boots, required.